and then be doing this race, which is an absolute bucket list of mine. So I just feel like I'm living like some crazy dream that suddenly came about in the most unpredictable fashion.
Right on, man. Now, obviously, we're only 2 days out from that announcement that you're going to CW. When were you first contacted about that potential opportunity?
Formally or informally?
I guess we can start with...
No, I obviously back midway through last season, I knew of a lot of the TV changes that were coming and what was happening there, and thought, you never count your chickens or anything, but thought there potentially was an opportunity amongst all these different networks that were coming and being involved in NASCAR, that maybe there was a chance for some other different roles and just to be in the pits and that sort of thing. And then, started talking with the folks at CW and the group that's producing it. And, pretty quickly made my intentions clear that I'd like that opportunity to be in the booth, and felt like I wanted that opportunity and, hopefully have a lot to add to that opportunity. And so it took a while to sort of put all together and a lot of moving parts, but I'm just so glad it has, because I love Adam Alexander. I think he's one of the best. Shane McMurray, since the first time I saw him and heard him do a practice session in the booth, I was like, that guy's one of the best analysts in the sport. And now I get to work with both of them. So that's super cool for me. And I love the Xfinity Series. The Xfinity Series, to me, is one of the coolest race series in the world. It's classic stock car racing. It's got its own identity now. It's such a unique time. You have so many great drivers in that series. And even, not just your top teams, but what's amazing to me about Xfinity is you have the mid and the, towards the back end of the mid side that are all professional drivers that are making a living doing this, whether they're gathering all the sponsorship, putting together, and their goal is not to win races, but it's to be top 20, top 15. I think that's when a series is super healthy. When throughout it is pros that are making a living and doing it at a high level, and that's what you have in the Xfinity Series right now. So for it to all be on CW and be in one place on network television, it's just such a cool time. So I hope I add something there, and I know I have a lot to learn about being in the booth, but I'm really excited.
Speaking of the various teams that are on different levels, is this exclusive deal with the CW a potential way where a lot of these smaller teams might get more exposure, more of a focus, so the fans might be able to learn more about these teams and their stories?
I think that's been one of the tough parts for Xfinity, has been that, because, and not to put Fox or NBC down in any respect, it's just that it was, it's a series that was looked at as a stepping ground, right? And now putting on it something in its own situation, really giving it a group that can dive in and focus on it, really puts it on a pedestal that I don't know if it's had before, right? And that, I think, helps a lot. And therefore, I can tell you just internally, every one of us is like, hey, let's go. Everyone on the production team, all the talent, have made it a point to meet with every team to, really understand the nitty-gritty of the stories amongst the field, right? Not just your top contenders, but it's every single person and team in that field, making sure that we understand and what their opportunity is, what they're trying to do, what their struggles are, that sort of thing. And so, to your point, yes, I do believe you will see more covers than ever throughout the field, because it's just the time is there for this group to really dive in deep. And that's what I think is a rare opportunity for Xfinity, that it has its own identity, and it's sort of gathered that in the last couple of years as the Cup Series went to the next gen, and therefore it's sort of just, maybe by design, maybe by chance, being on its own network and everything, it's sort of separating itself from the Cup Series in a lot of ways and becoming what I like to call classic stock car racing, one of the best shows in motorsports.
I think the series may have its own identity more now than it has since maybe the early 90s. At that time, they only had about 13 support races a year with the Cup Series. Mm-hmm. Almost everything was on TNN, and even though you might have some of the same guys calling the races that were actually doing Cup on TNN, they did like 20 Busch races to 7 Cups. So, yeah, it's very much in that vein.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Now, this weekend, you're finally making your Rolex 24 debut at Forte. Something you've wanted for at least a decade.
Yes, maybe more. Probably, I think we factored that almost probably 20 years I want to do this race. So like 14. So
you discovered it watching on like the Speed channel in
Speed
2002?
Vision. Yep. So I'd probably seen it before that, but Speed Vision ran on my TV from the day I discovered it in 1999. When we got cable, it never went off my TV till it went away. And to me, that's where I found racing. I saw it on TV for the first time. No one in my family knew about racing, had ever been a part of it, and therefore, it's this race was a big part of their TV coverage back then. And I remember seeing Colin Brown do that Team 16 deal where all the drivers were 16 years old, basically.
Yeah, it was him and Brad Coleman.
Yes.
And Adrian Cario, and they had Ross Bentley as basically the driver.
Yep. And I remember seeing that and being like, I'm going to do that race. And I've tried every year throughout my whole racing career to try to be here. For a couple of years, I got tabbed with a gold license, which was a death sentence for someone who had never driven a sports car before. So that was a tough thing. Then got put silver a couple of years ago and got closer. And then finally, the help of Scott Borchetta and Spike Coolers, this all came together. And I could not be more excited, thankful to Scott. Scott and I really became fast friends when I went and drove at Big Machine Racing because we both love all motorsports. And when I went to him last year and said, hey, I think it's time for me to stop this whole full-time NASCAR thing, we sat there and said, is there anything cool we could do together? And the first thing on the list was Rolex 24. And so we made that happen. And, he's going to be here on Saturday, which is super cool. And, for me, this is just absolutely bucket list. I keep having to pinch myself that I'm here actually racing because I've done this broadcast 6 years, and every time at 1 to 2 a.m. I'm sitting there on pit road, I'm like, why am I not in this race? I got to be in this race. Come on, man. And I would leave, reinvigorated and be like, let's figure it out. And so I'm just so happy. And with a team like Forte, who are so professional, they blow me away with their preparation and their planning and just their fit and finish. And, 2 or 3 awesome drivers. And Misha is one of the fastest AMs out there. You got Frank Pereira and Mario Farnbacher, who are absolute pros. So I think we have a great chance, and I hope to learn a lot from them. I've been learning. I've got a lot to learn, but I'm just having an absolute blast. Every 5 seconds that I realize I'm racing this race.
You still got some truck races this year with Henderson.
Yep.
And I guess Daytona's the first one. Do you know the rest of your schedule yet?
I don't. It's going to be fluid. That's the term. So we're going to figure it out. How about that? We intend to do some races. I'd say most likely a handful, but, thankful to them and just love that place. They're family to me, and I hope to go and recapture some of the magic we had back in 21 and 22 and go get some checkered flags. But we'll start off at Daytona for sure, and then we'll see from there. But it's going to be fluid, but hopefully a handful.
Yeah. Maybe you'll get to race at your track at Lime Rock.
We'll see. We'll see.
All right. Thank you very much.
Alex Gins for Frontstretch.com. Come back for more great racing content, and if you like us, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.